Yeah, high sexual discipline. I wouldn't date a guy who watches porn or goes to strip clubs or anything like that. And ideally...
Wait, you wouldn't date a guy who watches porn?
Nope.
But you
Yep.
do OF?
Yep.
Is that a...
Seems like maybe a double standard.
Is it a double?
No, it's not. I could be a college professor but not date students. I could work at a soup kitchen and not date a homeless guy. Just because I monetize off a demographic doesn't mean I have to date them.
Well, believe it or not, Farha's right here. She can do whatever she wants. It's not hypocrisy or a double standard for her to sell herself online and still want a traditional disciplined man. The main point people are missing is that monetizing male attention is not the same thing as being attracted to the men giving it. Business and dating are not the same category. She can profit from one type of man and still desire a completely different type. She's not virtue signaling or being unclear about it. She's actually pretty direct. She doesn't want the men she sells to. She values the money that comes from selling sex appeal online, while also wanting a masculine, intelligent man with sexual discipline. Those preferences can annoy people, but they're not contradictory.
Are you doing something immoral?
Nope.
No.
Same way, like I just said, if I'm a lesbian who puts out pornographic content for men to consume, it's not inconsistent or wrong for me to only date women. I can have a preference for someone while monetizing off an entirely different demographic. That doesn't mean I'm doing something wrong.
Mm-hmm. So...
Am I doing something wrong for indulging straight men if I only want to date women?
I think you are. I think
that makes no sense.
You're creating a contribution towards the immorality, and you know it's immoral because
but I don't think it's immoral to be heterosexual, and I'd be indulging heterosexuality while personally being homosexual.
Your preference alone is against it. Why is your preference against it? Isn't there an implication
why would sexual orientation be against it? No, answer my question. Why is it if I was a lesbian and I want to date women, but I put out pornographic content that indulges heterosexual men, is that inconsistent, or am I contributing to a problem?
Well, all of that, literally all of that would be immoral. I would say that that's still an immoral thing, whether or not
it is,
you're
but
being
not for the reason that you
whether or not you're being inconsistent there. I didn't make an inconsistency argument. I asked you about whether or not it's moral.
You said if I don't want to date a certain pool that I'm contributing to, does that mean I'm creating a problem?
Yeah, no, I'm just asking, is it immoral for you to contribute to that at all?
No.
I think Andrew's pointing out that Farha is contributing to a sexually degenerate culture that weakens the exact kind of men she claims to want. In other words, even if she's not inconsistent, she may still be helping to create the problem. If OnlyFans, porn, and sexual indulgence lower male discipline and corrupt the dating pool, then she's benefiting from a system that degrades the kind of masculine, intelligent, traditional man she says she prefers. But even if that's true, it still doesn't automatically make her immoral or self-destructive in her own worldview. That only follows if she accepts that harming the broader male population matters morally, or that damaging the larger pool of men meaningfully harms her own chances of getting the one man she wants. She can absolutely not value men as a category and still want an attractive one for herself. Now, how the public views her is definitely going to contribute to her well-being.
So you are supposed to care about the harm you do.
I'm not a consequentialist. We've been over this so many times.
Oh, what are you again?
I said I was a moral absolutist.
You're a moral absolutist.
Yeah, probably more that than a utilitarian.
Is that
Why are you shaking your head?
You're not a subjectivist.
You're not.
No, you're not a moral absolutist.
absolutist.
Ridiculous.
I'm sorry, what is that?
It means like you're not necessarily looking at the consequence of an action to deem its morality. My point is, people have totally different goals.
Okay, so is porn always wrong?
No. Absolutely not.
Okay, is it always right?
No.
Well, they're not moral absolutists. If it was moral, if it was a moral absolute, it would either be always right or always wrong.
Farha is not a moral absolutist, and neither is anyone else. Moral absolutism is an incoherent framework once you press it. The whole idea is that certain actions are intrinsically right or wrong regardless of consequences. Fine. But that already assumes morality is something objective and truth-apt in the first place, which is not self-evident. Even if you grant that much, the next problem is worse. How do you determine which actions are intrinsically right or wrong? What is the standard? You can't appeal to outcomes, because then you're doing consequentialism. You can't appeal to harm, corruption, flourishing, or social effects without sneaking in consequences. This is why moral absolutism collapses. It says some actions are absolutely wrong, but it still needs a non-arbitrary way to identify which actions fall into that category. And no, you don't get to assert that some actions are moral and others are not. That distinction itself needs a justification.
Give me an example of a moral absolute that's not yes or no, right or wrong.
I would love to. With porn, for example, porn will disaffect your relationship if one partner is okay with it and one is not. That will affect cheating and compatibility. If both partners are proponents of pornography consumption, that'll actually increase your sexual intimacy with each other.
Those are consequences.
The AOC is arbitrary, right?
Is it arbitrary?
Yeah.
Not really.
Then give me the moral imperative for it real quick. The moral absolute statement for that.
The moral imperative would be that it's generally wrong to.
It's generally wrong. It's not based on the consequence, though.
What?
It's not based on the consequence. This is an absolute. So why should the AOC absolutely be X age?
It's not. It varies.
Why
by
should
state.
it be? You're a moral absolutist.
I don't even know if I would subscribe to that.
You wouldn't subscribe to your own worldview?
I don't even know if I would subscribe that there is a certain age of consent because it varies by state.
Bro, what is she doing?
How do you determine whether something's morally positive or negative?
It would be by case. I can't flesh out a perfect moral system for you right now.
Would it be based on the consequences of that
I'm
action?
asking you, what does morality have to do with a romantic preference?
Don't.
So, okay,
hang on.
you
No,
have
no,
to
listen. That's a bait and switch.
It's not. This whole question arose because he asked me my preferences.
When I ask you a question, you answer with a question. What he asked you specifically is, how do you know something you're doing is moral or immoral?
I don't know.
How do you know?
I don't have a pure moral framework at this
So
time.
you're not a moral absolutist.
No shit.
I said I probably subscribe.
There you go.
more to
You're a
moral
consequentialist.
absolutism.
You're a consequentialist.
Because
Are those
you
the
say,
two
okay,
options?
Yes, those are the only two options. There are only consequentialists and deontologists. People who act based on outcomes, and people who act based on principle. That's why Farha is out of her depth in this combo. She doesn't even know the most basic feature of her own normative framework, how she determines whether something is morally good or bad. If she can't answer that, she can't discuss ethics. She's asked how to determine something is morally positive or negative. Her answer is that it's case by case. That's basically the whole game. She already conceded the point. She's not a moral absolutist, and she doesn't have a coherent deontological framework.
Are you saying that OnlyFans, you're making the claim, OnlyFans, moral, right?
No, I did not say that, and I know you know I didn't say that. I literally said we can discuss the morality of it. I was saying there's nothing
immoral.
Immoral?
As a moral absolutist, is it immoral
I'm sorry,
or
is
moral?
there no such thing as moral neutrality, such as you wearing a flannel versus him wearing a leather jacket versus him wearing a
yes,
hoodie?
you can say it's morally neutral. I'm fine with that too.
That's the contradiction. You're claiming morality is objective, extrinsic, universal, and uncompromising. But then when asked how you distinguish moral acts from non-moral acts, the answer turns into, well, generally neutral, but maybe not, depends. Depends on what? That's the whole question. Case by case is not a moral standard. It's a dodge. Case by case according to what principle? Harm, exploitation, rights, human dignity, divine command, natural law? Pick one and defend it.
It's not consequentialist because I was literally saying even if that man who's watching the OF content is lying to his wife, but it improves the status of his relationship because now he's more likely to have sexual intimacy with his wife, but he knows that he's transgressing his wife's sexual boundary, I still think that's wrong. So that's 100%. No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not, because
It's a
that's
consequence
increasing
of
the
your
pleasure in
actions.
his relationship. That's moral absolutism, literally, because I'm still saying that's a wrong
but
deed.
If it was reversed,
if it's reversed, then that completely changes the situation.
Right now, because the consequence is reversed.
The consequences
I'm
change.
obtuse on purpose. I literally said, even if it's a net good in terms of pleasure, because maybe his wife is now enjoying him more. She's like, wow, my husband's so happy lately and jolly and cheery, and he's more happy lately. Maybe now he can actually last longer in bed. If he's transgressing her boundary, I still think it's wrong to lie
Why?
about being subscribed to an OF. Because I'm, prioritizing honesty, integrity, honoring your vows over a consequentialist
Why?
hedonism.
Yeah, why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's the dead end of moral absolutism, is I'm valuing honesty and integrity.
Yeah, why?
Why? Because I think those are good traits.
That's exactly why she's not a moral absolutist, because her framework of morality boils down to, I think those are good traits. That's the bottom for her, and those are just preferences.
Why is it important that she determines the morality of men that she wouldn't consider dating? That's what I don't understand about the entire premise of this conversation.
It matters
Why is
because
it
the audience
her
wants him to-
responsibility to determine the morality of the men that she wouldn't consider dating, consuming the content that they would consume, regardless of how they got it? Is a consenting person creating the content. She runs her own business. She's ethically creating her own content.
Why is it ethical?
Because she's consenting to the creation of her content.
Why is that ethical?
Because that is less consumption happening of content that people are not consenting to making.
Yeah, but you just are repeating it, right?
What is bad? This thing over here, that's bad. What makes it bad? The fact that it's bad. Why is it bad? Because it's bad?